August 27th, 1942. The Caribbean Sea. A wolf is loose among the sheep. The German submarine U-94, under the command of Captain Otto Eitz, has threaded through an Allied escort screen and now is sitting inside a convoy of merchant ships and oil tankers. Otto has a fat Canadian corvette in his crosshairs. He is seconds from giving the order to fire. Then his lookout screams. An American PBY Catalina patrol plane is bearing down on them out of the darkness. Otto has no choice. He orders a crash dive, and U-94 plunges beneath the waves. 10 meters, 20 meters. The hull groans as they go deeper. It is not deep enough. The Catalina drops 4 650-pound depth charges. They sink through the water and detonate around the submarine. Each blast hammers the hull like a giant fist. Inside, the helmsman fights the controls. The boat angles downward, then stops dead. The bow hydroplanes are gone, ripped clean off by the explosions. Without those control surfaces, U-94 cannot reach safe depths. She is stuck, wounded, somewhere between the surface and the deep. Up above, the Catalina has spent all its ordnance. The pilot drops a flare on U-94's last known position and flashes a Morse signal to the nearest escort ship, the Canadian corvette HMCS Oakville, commanded by Captain Clarence King. Alarms tear through the ship. Sailors scramble to their stations. Among them is Sub-Lieutenant Hal Lawrence, the ship's chief sonar officer, who sprints down the corridor wearing nothing but a pair of tropical shorts. He hasn't had time to dress. He takes his seat anyway and clamps the headphones over his ears. The sonar system pulses out into the black water ahead. Lawrence hunches forward, straining to hear. Then he picks it up. A solid return, dead ahead. Down inside U-94, every ping sounds like someone hurling gravel against a metal shell. The German sailors freeze in place. Otto throws them into evasive turns, but it changes nothing. Lawrence keeps the beam locked on target. Then the headphones go quiet. Lawrence pulls one ear free and calls it. Almost on top of her. King gives the order. Depth charges away. Sailors at the stern heave the heavy canisters onto the racks, yank the safety pins, and roll them into the sea. Oakville clears the blast zone. Behind her, the ocean erupts in a chain of towering wide columns. U-94 shudders. Rivets pop. Water floods the forward compartments. Otto gets the damage report and knows his submarine is finished if she stays below. Their odds on the surface are just as bad, but at least his crew might survive. He orders it away. Surface the boat. We fight topside. Water blasts from the ballast tank and U-94 surges upward, breaking through the surface in full view of the Canadians. King's orders, full ahead. Ram her. Oakville's bow swings toward the long gray shape. Down on U-94, the German sailors threw open the hatches and immediately see a wall of gray steel charging straight at them. There is no time to do anything but hold on. Oakville slams into U-94's hull. A glancing blow. Both crews get thrown sideways. The corvette bounces off course, but King brings her around for a broadside. Canadian gunners sprint to their positions. Machine guns are loaded. Sights are lined up. Oakville's 4-inch gun fires first. The shell punches clean through U-94's conning tower. Otto sends 2 men scrambling toward the 88mm deck gun. They make it halfway before the machine gun tracers chew up the deck around them. Sparks fly off the gun shield. Both men dive back down the hatch. The 88mm hangs crooked and useless. Another hatch opens. A crewman lunges for the 20mm anti-aircraft gun. Bullets shred the mount before he can squeeze off a single round. The gun is torn apart. Oakville's 4-inch fires again. Another direct hit to the conning tower. The crew reloads, ready to finish the job. The gun jams. King doesn't hesitate. Ram her again. Oakville comes around and drives her bow into U-94 a second time. This one barely misses. slicing past the conning tower by a matter of feet. At that range, both crews open up with rifles and pistols across the gap. Some of the Canadians grab whatever they can and hurl it onto the German bridge. Otto desperately tries to run. He orders hard to starboard and pushes the engines, but U-94 is too damaged to outpace anything. Oakville catches her on third pass and drives directly into the submarine's bow. This one is fatal. U-94's motors seize. The screws stop turning. Otto knows it's over. He orders his crew to scuttle the boat. Sailors crack the vents and seawater floods the compartments. On Oakville's bridge, King sees the submarine wallowing below him. If someone can get aboard and close those valves, they can capture an intact U-boat. He turns to Lawrence. "Get your team ready to board." Lawrence runs to the boarding locker. He and his 12-man team each grab a .45 revolver, hand grenade, and a flashlight. They are all barefoot, all wearing only their shorts. They gather at the bow, right next to the 4-inch gun, and peer over the railing as Oakville inches towards U-94. Then the 4-inch gun fires. Nobody warned the boarding party. The muzzle blast erupts feet from Lawrence's team. The pressure wave throws him face first into the deck. He blacks out. He wakes to Petty Officer Art Powell slapping his face. Lawrence pulls himself up, shakes the ringing from his ears, and leaps over the railing. He drops 8 feet onto U-94's deck. When he lands, something snaps. He looks down. His shorts are hanging around his ankles, the elastic blown. He kicks them into the sea. Powell lands beside him. They realize they now have bigger problems. Behind them, Oakville is drifting away. The ramming attacks have cracked open her own hull plates and water is flooding the boiler room. The rest of the boarding team cannot jump. Lawrence and Powell are alone on an enemy submarine, and one of them is completely naked. They move toward the conning tower. The rear hatch bangs open. Both men raise their revolvers. Captain Otto and his executive officer climb out. Otto looks at the 2 Canadians. He looks at Lawrence. He looks down. He looks back up. His face shifts from confusion to something closer to horror. He exchanges a glance with his executive officer, and then both Germans vault over the side and start swimming. Lawrence shouts down the hatch for the remaining crew to surrender. One by one, they climb out. Powell lines them up on the deck. Lawrence drops down the ladder into the flooded control room, feeling his way through the darkness for the flooding valves. He runs his hands across the handles. But something is wrong. The Germans have smashed the controls before abandoning the boat. A deep metallic groan rolls through the hull. Compartments are collapsing. Powell shouts down to him. Lawrence pulls himself up the ladder, soaking wet, and gives the order to abandon. Everyone goes over the side. They swim clear and watch as the U-94 tips her nose beneath the waves, lifts her screws into the night air, and slides under for the last time. Lawrence and Powell were pulled from the water shortly after and received medals for their actions that night. Captain Otto Eit and his crew spent the remainder of the war as prisoners in the United States. The Canadian Navy got its battle story, and Hal Lawrence got a new pair of shorts.